right. The incident that I'm going to share with you, I've taken permission from the client. Okay, obviously, personal details will not be mentioned. Okay, but I'll give you the gist of the story. So, this is a client who I think got in touch with me 5 or 6 years ago. Okay, and Indian guy who is based abroad, and a smart guy, normal guy, nothing outstanding. And he wanted my advice with regards to, you know, getting married to a, I think it was a Russian. She's a Russian mix female, and beautiful girl. When he showed me the photograph, and he asked me what was my opinion. Uh, he is a very average-looking guy. He has a good career. He's very smart. He's very intelligent. Traveled around the world. But more or less a guy who focused very much on his career. He didn't go sleeping around or smoking, drinking, drugs. He was very focused, and he wanted a good girl. Obviously, he wanted a beautiful girl. He wanted worthwhile. There were many girls who, they nearly got engaged and nearly got married, but things didn't work out. So finally, he got this Russian girl. He bumped into this Russian girl in one of his business trips, and very smart, very intelligent. Everything was great. And, they struck on a great conversation, and one thing led to another. And before that, they started to date. And then, obviously, once you date, you kind of get from the romantic phase, you start getting serious, and you start thinking about getting married, settling down. And for those of you who do not know, in Russia, there are more females than males, okay? And females are searching for actually males, okay? There is a demand. And in India, it is opposite. India, it is more guys searching for women, and especially white women, okay? It can be any nationality, but it should be white and blonde and all that. So finally, it came down to the part of marriage. His parents were totally against it because they wanted a traditional girl from their background, their culture, tradition, Hindu, okay? And because he used to travel around the world, he didn't believe very much in the Hindu, Muslim, this thing. He believed, global world is one kind of a thing. And because he was really torn between the family and this girl, and finally he approached, I guess he approached a couple of people. He had different pieces of advice from different people. But then, he bumped into my channel, and he decided to take my advice and ask me what did I think about it. So I approached things a bit differently. Okay, I approached things a bit differently. I asked a lot of personal questions, intimate questions, and questions that people generally don't ask. Okay. First were the generic questions. Where did you meet her? How did you meet her? What is her age? What is your age? How long you have known her? Do you know her parents? Does she know your parents? Okay, all the basic things. But then I always ask about questions related to sex, intimacy, and the personal private stuff, which people get very shocked sometimes, and I tell them there's a reason why I'm asking all this. So when I started to ask him all these questions, at first he was uncomfortable, and I told him, see, listen, you have paid me money, you're my client, I want the best for you. Okay, so you need to trust me. So at first he told me, I'm not sure, I need to ask permission. I said, boss, listen, you don't ask her permission because we are talking about getting married to her. So you decide. And if you're not comfortable, I can just give you diagnosis or analysis based on the limited information. But you give me everything, I can really help you. So he said, give me a day, I'll think about it. I think he took 2-3 days. I thought he vanished. But then he got back to me and said, okay, Loy, I've thought about it. I'm taking a leap of faith. He even asked me to give him sworn like an affidavit, like, I will never reveal these secrets to anyone. I said, boss, you have seen my videos. You need to trust me. Yeah. So, okay. So finally he opened up. It was a little difficult, but I navigated. See, the thing is, this girl, there were a lot of red flags which he didn't think about. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is so that you can also learn. There were a lot of red flags in the relationship or her personality which I really felt would backfire. Okay. For example, he did not sleep around with many women. He had meaningful relationships where maybe maximum just hug, kiss, hold hands, just a little peck. But he didn't have sex per se. Like, he really valued that I'll give my body to one female, and also he was busy. Okay. While this female, on the other hand, she was exposed to sex from a very young age. Young age means like 18, 16, 18, whatever. So she had multiple boyfriends. He didn't have any children. By the way, she had a child. Okay. A young girl. Then he had traveled the world, but he came back home. Like, he used to do business travel and stay back home with his parents. While this female, she was constantly traveling and she had different bases. She was never in one place. So you can see the personality, like, differences. Okay. And he was educated. He had a degree and all that. She was like kind of the street smart kind of a female. He, looking at him, is very ordinary. She was very attractive, very hot. He was more on the corporate side. She was more on the consulting, on the independent side, and she would take freelance gigs and all that. She was not a promiscuous female, but you understand. And, he wouldn't hang around in pubs, clubs and all that. And she would hang around when she was networking with business people in pubs, nightclubs, whatever. But she wouldn't get like piss drunk. Okay. So I straight away told him, I said, boss, this is my opinion. This is my opinion. I don't think this relationship is going to work out. Okay. And then he asked me why. I said, if you just look at these key differences, these key areas, from introduction of sex into your lives to being free, to having that freedom, free mentality, to being the boss of your own life, to wanting to be a rebel and not follow norms. Like, you are disciplined, you studied, you got a degree, you got a big education, you follow the corporate norms. She wants to be independent. I said, this is a total clash. And you coming from a very Indian background, you want to be the alpha male, but in this relationship, you are not going to be the alpha male. She is going to be the alpha female. And Russians are very, very strong, especially females. And she already has a kid. So she'll make a lot of her decisions, almost all her decisions, revolving around the kid. Because if she has to choose between the kid and you, she will choose the kid. She'll not choose you. So I told him all these things, and then I also told him, listen, one final thing. She is so mentally sharp and mature. She'll make sure that she presents the side of her personality which is appealing to a man, because she's a self-made woman. Okay? So she's not going to show you the dark, ugly side. He said, no, Loy, there is where you're mistaken. She's very vulnerable. When she's with me, she tells me about her dark side, her, family. There were a couple of real bad, ugly stories there, and of abuse and all that, and her boyfriend beat her. I said, boss, listen. She's trying to show vulnerability and all that, to show like a puppy dog and for you to give her a hug, and this is all bullshit, okay? This is all bullshit. This is, females know when to get the sympathy button and when to make a man melt. You don't fall for all that bullshit. You look at the other side. And so when he asked me my final verdict, I told him that this marriage is, the marriage, it will it will not last very long. It will cost you an arm and leg. You're going to really suffer, and she's going to make sure she squeezes the last drop of blood out of you. Okay? And she's not going to exit the relationship without a fight. You can be rest assured, if she wants to make your life miserable, she will utterly make your life miserable. It's not like Indian females who will approach the court as a victim, but she's not going to leave you that easy. Like, in the sense, you'll have the short end of the stick. Now, like they say, what happens in relationships when you're in love, nothing makes sense. He said yes, everything, but he was not happy with my analysis. He was not happy with my coaching. And in a very rare instance, he actually took the trouble to write to me afterwards, after a few days, expressing means thank you for all that, but he was telling me, I'm very upset with what you said. I'm very disappointed. And then he even put that line that I'm disappointed why I came to you. You're full of negativity. And I was like, come on, man. But, okay, you didn't like my advice. You felt as negative. You felt I hurt your feelings. You felt you shouldn't have come back to me for coaching. Come to me for coaching. In fact, he even put a line, I regret I should have come to you. And that last line kind of stung a little bit because, I was being very genuine with him. I wanted the best interest. So I didn't respond to him by saying, you are a this and that. I just said, I wish you all the best. Because I was not going to apologize for what I believed was right. I did my job. Okay, my job is not to kiss your ass. My job is not to make you happy. My job was, I did my job. You like it or not, that's up to you. I said, I genuinely wish you all the best. I hope I'm wrong. Sincerely, I hope I'm wrong because it's your life and I want you to achieve happiness. Now, I didn't think much about it, obviously. Life goes on. You meet people. Around few years later, I got this message again. Hey, Loy, how are things? Great to see you. Settle down. You have a nice daughter, nice family. How are things? At first, obviously, I don't remember. So I told him, I'm sorry, I don't remember who's this. Yeah, I was your client and all that. Then I asked him his, email address and other details. And then I was able to scale back and, oh, okay, you're this guy. So I saw that stinging email. I was like, okay. So that time you regretted. Why are you come back? So that was the thing. Maybe my Panditgiri was right. So I didn't want to bring up anything because, you got in touch with me. Let's see where it goes. I said, no, nothing. Yeah, I saw the email. You were my client before. Hope everything is fine. Yeah, Loy, life is going on. When you're free, we can talk. I said, I am free for a client for a paid session. I'm not free for just chit-chatting. I let him know. Yeah, I totally understand, Loy. I've been following your content. I know that you don't do free talk. I actually meant, when can I book a session if you'd like? So I gave him the rates. Oh, your rates have increased. I said, yes, because, I'm doing well and I need to manage between demand and supply. So he said, okay, fine, I'll book a session with you and we'll talk. So as after a few days, he booked a session, and this time when I saw him online, when we, when I put on the video, the guy had actually, his hair had become more white. And he looked rather aged. 5 years, people, their age, it shows very little. But in his case, it showed a lot more. And that was immediately the first thing I remarked. I said, man, you really look like 10 time has taken its toll. And he did explain, yes, I went through tremendous amount of pressure. The COVID problem, he went through a lot. He lost a lot of money there in a couple of his investments. Thankfully, his job was still secure, but he lost a lot of money in his investments. A lot of pressure was there. He was not sure whether his job would continue. Then his father and mother got passed away sadly because of COVID. Their immune system was not strong, so that was very tragic. I was sorry about it. Now, here's the funny thing. He spoke to me about all these things, but I was waiting when he'd bring up his marriage. Okay. So after all that, then I said, you seem to tell me everything except your marriage. So he's saying, yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that. But I want it to be a very private thing. And once again, he was like, what I share with you, please don't share the intimate details. I said, I'll make a video on the main gist of the story, but not specific. He said, yeah, I know your style by now. Okay. So without getting into the specifics, they did not divorce. They are separated. Okay. They are separated. And for lack of a proper word, the marriage didn't work out. Okay, the marriage didn't work out. Initially, it was all, the happy. The parents were not at all happy, so he had to take a different house, and she didn't want to be in India. She visited India. She didn't like India at all. For her, India was no. It was just visit and all that. So he had to take a house and invest. Sold his property in India to purchase a property where she was staying. And then on top of that, then he realized that apart from taking a house for her and the daughter, the expenses were much more because he had to manage there. And then he found out that he had to adjust to her life, her culture, her surroundings, which he found very difficult. And then he didn't know this at the time, but he was expected to support her mother and father and take care of them also, like, little bit, not full, and that was unexpected. He kept quiet. And then she wanted him to take care of his daughter, and money is always a big issue. She wanted him to save money in a fixed deposit for the daughter. It was not his own daughter, then for their future and all that, and that made him very uncomfortable. He was not very happy, but he played along. And then when they had their own child, that's where another problem took place, because he was very much Hindu. He wanted Hindu tradition, Hindu values, and he wanted the child to be introduced to his parents. And she was not up for it. She didn't want it. And when he did convince her to come down and meet the parents, she was like, she didn't give a damn about them because, they didn't accept her. And even when they were holding the baby and they were, cuddling, and she was not very comfortable with certain things, like they had their tradition of maybe putting oil or giving a bath. She didn't like it at all. Oh, there were so many things, and it seems that she lost her temper so much so that she took the baby from their hands and, she went back home. It was a pretty ugly scene, and the parents got very hurt because, grandchild. See, you don't think about all these things when you're getting married. And the parents were very, very hurt because it was a beautiful child and it had the features of the mother, blonde and all that. And they really wanted to play with the child. And the parents were ready to be flexible and accept the daughter, but the daughter was very vindictive. She never forgot that they never accepted her, and she didn't want to talk to them at all. In fact, he used to send money to the parents, and they even had fights. Why are you sending money to them? This is my money it's our money for our family. So there also he had a bit of a drama. And what's more is, because she was very independent, because she was very business oriented and all that, she was still she still wanted to travel. That also, while keeping the kids with a nanny or somebody else, he was not very happy with all these things. He was like, I don't want my children to be under someone else. And, Russian, for example, Russian culture and Russian. So he didn't want all this. So, it's always the small things that makes the big difference. It's always the small areas that really have the big headache. And he was not happy with the fact that she was still going out for parties, taking photographs, meeting the who's who. He wanted a more traditional house, but he was not getting that. And, she still loved wearing bikinis because her body was good, and he was not at all happy. He wanted to stay at home. He wanted the family to be together. And even when the family was together, she would invite her friends because, she's in Russia, and he really felt out of place. And he was torn between his family and his old aged parents. And obviously, when the parents died, she didn't give a damn. She was not close to them. He really felt, torn apart. And very soon he realized that even the children loved the mother more than the father, because he was also busy in his work, and she was not she was not encouraging them to learn the Indian language, Indian tradition, Indian culture. So he felt like, he literally felt that he was this banker or this financier who was giving them money to live a good life. But he was not the father. He was not nothing. They were a family, her with her parents, her relatives, and he's this outsider. So I said, it's more like, it kind of reminds me of like my life. Like, my wife is Thai, my baby, even though Indian and Thai, very much Thai, they are one family. I'm aloof. But for me, it's okay. For me, it's fine because the dynamics is different. My wife is different. Her personality is different. Her family is different. But in your case, your female, your wife is like the male dominated this thing. He said, yeah. He's saying, I just feel like a total outsider. When I come back home after a business trip, I don't feel I'm at home. My children don't interact with me. They hardly like just a dad, and they are with their mother. They are always out. They are doing their, the typical whatever. If they go horse riding or they go, whatever stuff that they do. And now he felt very lonely. He felt very, very lonely to the point where he was not happy at all. He was just not happy. He didn't feel anything. So then he finally took the decision, and he started spending more time in India with his other relatives, and he found more sense of peace and happiness there. And eventually, it seems that they both didn't feel close at all. They hardly even had sex. So finally, she bought it right up to his face and said, I don't think this relationship is working out. And I want a divorce. And he didn't want a divorce because this is his baby. And obviously, she would take the custody of the baby. So they finally agreed that they would not get a divorce provided he gave her compensation of some amount of money every month, the property, whatever. He agreed. He didn't want to make it a complete disgusting public spectacle. He wanted it to be very private, and that's it. So it's pretty tragic. Okay, they didn't have a very it didn't end in tragedy, but it's not a family life. He's still alone now. Now, obviously, she can go and meet whichever guy she wants. He can go and meet whichever girl she wants. But given the fact he has always been traditional, always been that one woman man, he is no longer interested, or he's finding it very hard to get another partner. And the most painful thing which he told me is it breaks his heart that his child, he can't meet the child, he can't be with the child. And what's worse is he has to provide for him, his own child's future, and that other girl, and her future and the wife. So, and he told me, Loy, I hate to tell you this, but I wish I'd listened to you. That's what he told me. I wish I'd listened to you. I wish I didn't do this. He's saying, because now I just feel so empty. I have a career, I have money, and obviously a lot of money is going, but I just feel so empty. And I really felt bad for him. I didn't wish, I told him, look, I don't wish bad for you. I never wanted it to be this way. So what can you say? He did ask me a solution. What do you suggest now that, I'm no longer young and I want someone, I want a companion. So I told him we need to have a separate discussion about this, very different video, and we did speak about it later on. So what I'm trying to share with you through this video is the reality of life. Okay, see, when you are in a honeymoon phase, everything looks good, everything looks nice. The person that you're with is, God's gift to mankind. You consider yourself so lucky. She's so beautiful, she's so this, she's so that. We look at only all those wonderful areas. We don't look at the other areas. Because remember, after some time, that beauty, that romance, that sweetness no longer exists. Women are very, very mature. They have an agenda. They're very clear about it. And I'm not saying that they're evil, but they're much more mature than a man. Okay? And especially a woman with a kid, don't underestimate. You have no idea what you're getting into. It's just unfortunate that this guy has to be now single for the rest of his life, because he finds it very hard to approach women. Very, very hard. And he's not one of those kind of characters who can just mix with different women. And he's very focused on his work. So I guess this is what it is. And not a single day goes by, he told me, where he regrets. The only thing he regrets is his mother and father. He hurt them. He hurt them through this marriage. And even though he was able to give them their grandson, it was a very painful experience, and they died in suffering and pain. So it's sad, it's tragic. So this is what I wanted to share with you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think? Who's at fault here? And what lesson did you learn? I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. Good, bad, ugly, feel free. Comment down below. This is me signing off. You guys take care.